Right, welcome back. In case you're just joining us, it's the Money Show, reaching you from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Joining me right now is my guest. He's Ofwali Wekwe. He's the Chief Executive Officer at Green Gold Energy. Welcome to the program again.
Yeah.
Isn't
welcome.
it?
Yeah.
How are you doing today?
Very good.
Okay. I don't know if you listened to some of my headlines when I started. The President of Zambia, President Edgar Lungu, did call for a national day of praying and fasting for God to save Zambia's economy. You know, when I started, I was like, really? You know, that all the efforts from government have failed to resuscitate the economy. The kwacha, which is the Zambian currency, is witnessing a slump, about 45% slump against the dollar, and of course, according to Bloomberg, it is the world's worst currency now. The naira, it's around the decline of the naira against the dollar is about close to 20%. So we haven't gotten to the 40% yet. Copper prices are going down, and you know Zambia's main export is copper, just like ours is oil. So that economic situation in Zambia, the president had to say, hold on guys, told this 15 million population, we need to pray. God needs to come down and save this economy. Have we gotten to that level yet in Nigeria? God save the Naira.
No,
God save Nigeria's economy.
No, we haven't gotten to that level, but what I will expect is when a president is making a call like that, what he should do is resign.
Oh, he should resign.
He should resign. When you're saying, you know, with all God has given me, I'm not able to lead this nation to the extent that and manage the process to put our economy right, you step aside and say one of the other children of God should take over.
Is he not a child of God?
Yes, so if he says, that's what I'm saying. So is
he not a child of God himself?
Asking everybody to pray?
But the funny thing was that Zambians seemed to agree with him. You know, when I was reading a lot of things coming out from Zambia over the weekend, a lot of people say, oh, the end times are here. So a lot of things are happening. The economy is taking a hit and all of that, you know?
Well, in a way, there's a way you can look at it. In terms of, if you start looking at the religious or spiritual aspect, for some people, having a faith and something they believe in or worship helps them build confidence. So just by making that call, for those of them that respond, will probably have a more positive and confident outlook to the way they do things. Those that we're going to give up will work extra hard, right? But from the government itself, in their country, from the leadership, in terms of putting up the right economic policies, he doesn't need the country to pray for him. He can go and pray himself and find out the best things to do and get it done. If he can't do that, if God doesn't answer his own prayers and tell him the best things to do, he should resign.
Perhaps that's why he's calling for prayers from all Zambians to help him get inspiration, to be able to steer the wheel of the economy in Zambia. Anyway, I just wanted to bring in that Zambia tilt because it's really quite interesting.
Yeah, but you know? I'll just say something though. Look, for people, things work in different ways, right? Even though I've said he should resign, maybe making that national call for him will be a way of getting inspiration, being a way of telling his people, look, I actually depend on God for my guardians. You people can help me out. And that might help him be able to respond because God does answer prayers.
So perhaps they don't have any clue anymore.
Yeah.
So God, please answer the prayers of Zambians. So
maybe because of that call, because of a public confession of his weakness, it might actually, you know, God might have an intervention. You know, and hopefully I wish they do. He does.
I would like to see what will happen down the line.
Right.
You know, and I'll be very interested in that. And some people have been sending tweets to us, especially on my Twitter handle. And a lot of people have said that there's been a lot of prayer and fasting here in Nigeria, that we are doing enough. It's not until President Buhari says, oh, if you're a Christian, fast and pray. If you're a Muslim, fast and pray. that we do, normally as Nigerians, we do fast and pray. So, and that there's been enough of that already. So we should get to work. Some comments coming on Twitter telling me that this morning. What do you think?
Well, I think our president and commander-in-chief has been making calls in his own way, but more in terms of actions to, you know, he's basically been saying change begins at home, just like you say charity begins at home. Even in his in his recent speech for Independence Day, was more a call to the nation for people to participate in ensuring that the change we all desire does emerge. And so and there are people that maybe the way they are going to do that is become more spiritual, you know, insofar as if you go and pray, that means you're not going to drive on a one-way street in the opposite direction. Then that makes sense. If you're going to go and pray, that means you're going to pay your debts. You know, you're going to take, if your bank's your own, you're going to go back and pay. Then that makes sense, if prayer does that.
You know, it's, you know, I'm really actually torn between the spirituality of saving an economy, because that's what it is right now. The spiritual aspect of it, and perhaps actually doing the job. Promise on Twitter is just sent in his comment and said, "I don't think your guest is a believer. Where two or more are gathered, there is God." So the president is right. That's the president of Zambia. You know, I'll dwell with this a bit, you know, because of course Zambia is an African country.
Yeah.
Zambia is also suffering, as Nigeria is suffering economically, in terms of the main export is declining, the price is declining. So what have you got to say to Promise?
I'm not going to personalize it, because we're going to have, that's not the purpose of the conversation. So I wouldn't respond in terms of myself if I'm a believer or not. What I'll say is this. I can understand where Promise is coming from, because I'm saying that someone that has made a call like that should resign. But I'd like to explain further why I'm saying that. If in the course of having to lead your nation, put the necessary policies to get the country stable, to get the economy right, and you turn around to the people and you do not tell them actionable steps they can take to help make the country right, you tell everybody to go and pray to come up with a solution. I think I'm sure there are thousands of Zambians who are also children of God, who probably have the same faith as the man who is the president, who God has given the gift to be able to lead them. In some other countries in the world, when you're in that situation, you step aside. However, like I said, maybe it's going to give him inspiration from a believer
I think he even just got in, because the former president, Michael Sata, died. I think there was an interim president, so to speak, the African's white president. Right. I've forgotten his name. Do you know the
Africans?
Yeah, the white man. But I think he actually now has stepped in. So he's seeking divine intervention to be able to, you know, because bars were shut. A lot of things, food prices have gone up in Zambia. Everything seems to be going haywire.
Another thing I'm going to be, I'll say here is maybe one should be a little bit careful the extent to which we analyze something like this, because sometimes, you know, using the media, whether it's the social media or the traditional vehicles for communication, a lot of things, especially a subject like that or a comment like this from a president, could be blown out of proportion. So I didn't watch it. I didn't see him say it. I don't know the context in which the request was made.
This is the context. It's not so. It was something that was done this last weekend.
Yeah. So if that is the case, then I think I'll say to the man, the best thing for you to do, if you cannot set up a team to look at it, if you cannot manage the current situation, then you let somebody else do it. That's what I'll say, right? And I think that he should pray as well, just like he's calling everybody to pray. But even in our day-to-day lives, when we pray, you're not meant to be going on the road and see someone who's dying of hunger, and you have food in your hand and you pray about it and you walk away and not give the food.
And saying that God will give the person food.
God will
Meanwhile,
give the
you're the
food.
God of the person at that time.
Right. From a Christian perspective, when Jesus Christ came to a wedding and the people were hungry, he didn't just raise his hand and pray. He actually did a miracle to create bread and give them something. To multiply
the bread.
Yeah. That was, you know, multiplying the 5 loaves of bread, and he was able to feed people, right? That's also a significant message, right? So when he is in that position, and he's saying, my fellow countrymen, I admire him to have that courage. I admire him to say, what I've seen in this position is something that is really challenging. I may not be able to manage effectively. And I call you people to pray for the country, pray for me. He should also be able to find out at what point does he step aside. Yeah.
With this development, I know I'll come back to Nigeria a bit, but this is really interesting, isn't it? Have you heard something like this before? Even with the turmoil, economic turmoil of Zimbabwe and all of that, hyperinflation, where even the Zimbabwean dollar has lost value. I know in Zimbabwe now they use the dollar. There was a time, perhaps 3 months ago or so, that the central bank, that's the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, did say everyone in possession of Zimbabwean dollars, which is their currency, should bring it in exchange for the US dollar. You know, that there was even a
I remember when you took
in Zimbabwe they had trillions, no, quintillion and quadrillion of Zimbabwean dollars, which is not worth anything. So is it interesting right now what Zambia is doing to save the economy? Is there a trend that we're beginning to see that commodity prices are falling? Are economic leaders and economic managers running out of steam and running out of clues? Especially for those of us in Africa. I don't know if I've heard it anywhere in the developed world. Because
I wouldn't say that economic managers or economic experts in Africa or in the region are running out of clues. Actually, just a few years back, we had challenges and a collapse, global economic meltdown in the US and affected a lot of European countries. We had indirect impacts in Africa, in lots of countries, but we never really saw them as, they were clueless, they walked their way through it. Right, and if someone were to be analyzing the situation maybe in 2006 or 2007, one might think that a lot of people wouldn't have guessed that the U.S. economy would be the way it is right now, right? Such that countries like Canada that are just next door neighbors, all of a sudden they are the ones that are facing challenges. We're having a general global economic situation that the causes are known, the trends are understandable, and it'll just take a while for people to get a grasp of it and stabilize. And I actually don't think that Zambia is going down. I just see Zambia in a phase that, if managed right, they'll be able to get out of it.
Perhaps you are talking not as a Zambian, but Zambians think that the economy is going down and going down very fast.
That's what happens when you're being the one wearing the shoes and it's pinching you, right? And
it's pinching you,
yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Let me just take this few seconds to also dwell on it, especially around the African economies. I've just spoken about Zimbabwe. I did get news, was it sometime last week, that IMF is also considering something for Zimbabwe. You also have some economies that, actually reeling from commodity prices decline. Nigeria is also one of it. Angola, one of those countries, because Angola also exports crude. But if you take a look at it holistically in Africa, do you think that economies in Africa have been able to manage these commodities decline?
Not really. I don't think they've also focused on doing that. I think the frameworks and the ways prices, commodities and those things are cost globally in the international market is skewed in such a way that is not in favor of a lot of the third world countries that have the natural resources or the commodities. I also like to say that we should be careful to pull Zimbabwe into this thing that is happening now. Zimbabwe's own challenges have been long. It's been going through this process up and down, and a major cause of it is political. So it doesn't matter the wizardry that Mugabe comes up with. If he comes up with any new ideas, or he doesn't come up with, or the other person, I think there will be political forces that similar to the way the Syrian thing is playing out, that will ensure that you don't have actual successes until there can be a transition in government. It looks like globally most of the world powers and international community and a lot of African countries are pushing and are looking towards some kind of a change in government so that the country can begin to have
that's for Zimbabwe.
Democracy evolve, and it wouldn't be a one-state dictatorship.
But the way it's looking now, I don't think Mugabe is ready to cede power anytime soon.
Yeah, so a lot of what is going to be happening there and the way it all runs out, it's, like when you're saying there is going to be international efforts to give them grants, everything is going to be done in such a way that you do not see successes from the current government the way it's structured. But there will be some kind of stipends provided to ensure that the people do not just disappear, right? Okay. Yeah, so I'll put it out of this.
Okay. Yeah. A lot of experts have warned that for the Nigerian economy, we need to begin to take certain steps, and very, very quickly. If not, our nation's economy will slip into a recession and perhaps go into a slum. The Nigerian Economic Summit was held last week here in Abuja. A lot of things came up from that economic summit. I just hope it's not talk, because talk actually is cheap, that at the end of the day, those things will be brought together and see, and perhaps help this administration. I was happy that the Vice President attended. He was there. He listened all through. There was even a presentation by the former Prime Minister of Georgia. I saw that, very interesting. Actually told us how reforms came up in his country. Right. But where I'm actually going to is, what do you think should be done now? Because it seems that the body language of even the presidency at this time is, I want to constitute my team. Let me constitute my team before I start doing things around the economy and all of that. What do you think? Are there certain steps that the president can just take now on his own, or even pronounce?
Yeah, I'll take what you've just said in two parts. The main thing, which will be some of the things that can be done now, I'll just go through that. But in terms of my perception of the body language, if we'll call it that, is not just I'm going to wait till I have a team. What I see that has been happening, if you listen to, again, your news sources like your organization and a lot of other news channels, what you're going to find out is there has been a lot of communication and interaction one-on-one between the seat of government, the presidency, and a lot of our ministries and parastatals. So what I think, and I'm confident and happy about, is that at this point in time, we are likely to have a president and vice president that actually have had a first-hand look and information on what is happening in most of our ministries. They'll probably be able to tell you, this is what is happening in this parastatal, this is what is happening there. I was very, very happy when, I think it was last week, there was some news report that there was a presentation being made to the president on the Chad, something about the Chad basin and how to recover it. And he asked questions, and he asked me factual questions. Look, I knew there was something like this done several years ago. I knew that some money was expended. Where is the report? Where is the follow back? What is happening? That shows we have a leadership that is hands-on. That shows we have a leadership that over this period of time has not been idle, but has tried to do some homework and find out what is going on, right? What it means is by the time we have ministers and they assigned portfolios, the president and the vice president will be able to actually give them assignments and be able to define what the expectations are and the results, have an idea of what is on ground.
Do you think that the presidency...
They wouldn't be encapsulated, hidden inside of some kind of a cocoon.
Do you think that the presidency, the way it stands right now, has a vision of what it wants to achieve?
Oh, yeah.
What does that vision look like to you?
Okay, I think the question you asked me was, do I think that they have a vision?
Yes.
And I said yes. I'm not in a position to tell you what that vision looks like, but it hasn't been revealed. So what I'll say then, I'll go back to the second part of your earlier question, previous question, which is, what do I think are some of the things they should do? And that's why you're asking that question. And
I'll say this. No, you answered my question by saying you know what the vision looks like.
No. I said, look, you said, do I think they do have a vision? I said, yes.
Yes.
And he said, what do I think it is? And I said, I am not in a position to tell you what it is.
So why would you say,
why do I think they have a vision?
Yeah.
Now, when you look...
A vision is different from the blueprint. You know, I could have a vision, but I need to put down the plans to achieve my vision. Yeah. Those are two different things.
In order for you to, to be able to come up with a concrete vision and back it up with actionable items on how goals and objective on how to achieve it, you need to have an element of an idea of what is on ground and how things are run. So we've had a president that for the past several months has been dealing, in my understanding, one-on-one or through a team within the presidency with the different ministries and organs of government that we have, holding meetings, making inquiries. And I gave you a specific example that last week, we witnessed a situation where a presentation was made to him. I'm sure the presentation must have been wonderful and good, but he had questions that sent them to the drawing board, factual questions that were not based on abstract ideas, but based on a history of what is meant to have occurred. That tells me that over the period,
he's assessing the situation.
That they have accessed the
That's
situation.
What you're saying, yeah.
And now, in terms of the other part, which is what I think they should do, so that we as Nigerians will be able to have an idea and key into that vision, is one, I think they need to be able to tell us what, having been on ground for some months, and they are appointing a new minister and setting up new cabinet, the cabinet of ministers, and setting up the full team, what is their clear-cut economic policy, separate and different from what they defined prior to elections? Because now they've been on seat. They have to tell us this is our economic direction and this is our strategy. This is where we're going to focus on. They have to define milestones. They're not going to have to tell us, it's not about what they're going to do in 4 years. I think what we would like to know is what are they going to, break it down in the next 1 year, in the next 6 months. What will be the focus and how do they interrelate? Now, the other thing they need to do is, in order to tell us that, I'm very happy and confident about the previous speeches. Like again, I refer to the Independence Day speech where the president didn't come and tell us stories, bogus stories. He didn't make us promises and make claims that things that were not true. So I'm very impressed with that. So I'll be very happy to hear them. Now, the same way they do not fabricate stories, I'll be happy to hear them tell us what are their realistic targets within the next 1 year, within the next 2 years.
Okay, just to cut you short a bit, the vice president, of course, represented President Buhari at the economic summit.
Right.
And he used that occasion to point out that the president had given him the mandate to supervise the nation's economy.
Right.
He also mentioned within the summit that the administration would ensure rapid recovery, while the federal government is currently partnering with about 7 states to developing agricultural and mineral resources of those states to further enhance the GDP of the nation. So are you saying things like this would add impetus to perhaps what Nigerians are expecting? Yeah,
what he's communicated is very impressive, and in addition to communicating that, is actually been demonstrated, because you see forums and events and things that have to do with you know, a lot of internal things in terms of managing the country and economy. The vice president actually always makes it a point of duty to be there himself, and that's quite impressive. What I'm saying is, beyond telling us your tasks, telling us these are the things I'm going to be working on, you need to tell us what are the things you expect you can achieve, and that are measurable. Then the other thing, I think, like they've talked about accelerated development of economy, some of those areas will be, for instance, accelerated development of the power sector. That's very, very important, because, and then the other area will be the SMEs. I'd like to see something done about the small and medium businesses.
We have a lot of them, 37 million of them in the country.
Yeah.
That's according to the National Bureau of Statistics. It may even be more, who knows?
Yeah, and then when I'm saying I like to see some of the ideas in terms of what I like to see is, right now, a lot of focus is always in terms of doling our cash. How much money do we have as grants that can be given as loans to SMEs? And that's not just what they need. What are we? There has to be some clear framework that makes it easy for SMEs to be able to get information on the road to market. I have an idea for a project. I've conceptualized the product. I've defined it. How do I sell it? How do I market? What kind of assistance do I get? In other countries, governments give free training on roads to market. Government gives free training on how to be able to manage or even hire staff.
No, I think there are still agencies like that, or even centers like that. I know that there are EDCs around the country in the 6 geopolitical zones, the entrepreneurship development centers around the 6 geopolitical zones. I think there's one in Calabar for the South-South. I don't know where the others are, so you can actually go do your research on for small businesses seeking to get training and whatever information, help them put themselves together. You know, even Smidan is there, some other agencies of government there. But the thing is that how much are these agencies doing? But just before, let me just add
one thing, because just taking what we've said, for example, I'm also aware there are organizations like that. But you know what? We just said there are thousands and thousands of small and medium enterprises. They do not have the information. You're in a privileged position to have this information. Part of what I think this government will need to do is to clearly define a unified information management framework, government information management framework, that allows, creates interfaces for the public to be able to get information, and allows you to be able to tie and pull in different sources of information around the government.
And also communicate that information.
And communicate it effectively, so that we need to be able to begin to look at how to create a one-stop shop. So that a guy that just wakes up in my location, in my village, or in my office, or if a staff of mine, or someone that is my friend, or someone out there decides to go into an area, and he says, hey, how do I find out about this? He says, you know what, if I go here, I'll find out everything the government has to offer.
Okay, let me take a few comments coming through on Twitter. Sonny Allison is saying, prayers without work can't hold the economy, can't hold the economy tight. Since we started on a prayerful note, you know, coming from Zambia, you know, so I guess in Zambia now they are still in that prayerful mode. I think I need to call my Zambian friend and let him give me more details on what happened. President Buhari should employ, as a matter of urgency, work for improve the economy. Opinion Nigeria is saying Zambia isn't the only country in Africa. Zimbabwe is also one. I did mention that. Even Nigeria, the need for refocusing is paramount. Gideon Korede is saying, as long as the Zambians are not calling for his resignation, I think no outsider has the right to do so. Okay, perhaps from your statement earlier on. All right, Ethan is saying, yes, prayer is the key, but it's all about our attitude to the nation and all about God. God help Nigeria. There's nothing wrong in what the Zambian president did. Jude is saying, for Nigerian economy to be revived, we need to invest in education to build capacity and reduce interest rates to 5% for startups. The ministerial designate now, Kemi Adeosun, did say that there should be a slash in interest rates. She mentioned that during her screening that interest rates need to be reduced in Nigeria. But I don't know how that will be calibrated, because if you want interest rates to be reduced, the cost of production is there, infrastructural challenges, but you know, so it's really a very tricky one.
Interest rates needs to drop in
Nigeria. Ugo saying fasting won't fast-track economic development and diversification and plugging loopholes of corruption rather than winch hunt would. I don't understand that last part. Okay, Money Online is saying, I disagree with your guest. There's nothing wrong as a nation seeking the face of God. While there was one interesting one that I saw here, that prayer without work is death.
Yeah.
Just like I think the Bible says, faith without work is death.
Yeah, and we're not saying,
you can pray for all we can.
We're not saying that I'm not saying there's anything wrong with seeking the face of God. Like I said, having to go nationally and publicly and call for prayers actually shows humility and the fear of God, and he's probably going to get, you know, God is probably going to assist him, right? But if he's actually gotten to the point where, that's why I said I needed to see the scope of what was done and said. If he's gotten to the point where he's saying, look, other than you guys going to pray about it, I do not know any steps and actions I can take. I do not know any policies I can put in place. I do not know what we can do effectively as a government to get this thing to get us out of the ocean, then they should have someone else. It's not a do or die affair. Okay,
Jiga Friday on Twitter is saying, one can only have a good assessment of the economy when the cabinet is fully constituted and in full operation.
Right.
Benjamin is saying, I pray God should help us. Lastly, just before you go, in the last few months, how has business been for you? Have you made new money? I ask everyone that I see off camera, so let me ask you on camera. Have you made new money? You know what I'm talking about. Or you're spending the one that you've saved?
Actually,
that's other than question,
that's a
hashtag new money,
that's a tough question. But one thing to remember is my market is Nigeria, my buyers are Nigerian. The volume of transactions might not be as expected, but Nigerians have buying power, right?
But everyone is talking their cash now.
Yeah, everyone.
There's no cash anyway.
Yeah, but ask the people in London Heathrow if they are not, if Nigerians, if the people that buy.
No, but what's the percentage of that? Come on.
No. What I mean is Nigerians that they had a ranking of Nigerians that buy, that go out, shopping, that go do shopping.
Yes, and drop. Nigerians are.
The economy is not all that. Look, I'll tell you something. Is not all that.
You've not answered my question, though. I said, have you made new money in the last few months? Yes
in
or
the last,
no? Yeah.
It's been positive. It's been positive.
So you've made new money. I understand your optimistic sense, but have you made new money in the last few months?
Yes, we've got some good transactions closed, and from Nigerians too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we have. There are lots of Nigerians that actually have confidence in the system, and they've begun to see the system as a new way, that it works in a different way, and they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we will leave it at that. I didn't know I have many directors now in the studio. Everyone is doing this way. You know. Everyone is saying this way. Okay, I'm ending it now.
Let's not take more time.
That's the much we can take on today's edition of the program. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your company. Thank you for your tweets. Thank you very much, Mr. Aligwekwe.
And I'm a believer, by the way.
Oh, okay. The area of green gold energy, of course, here in Nigeria. Be the best you can be the change you also want to see. We won't be here tomorrow and Wednesday because of the ministerial screening, I guess. But after the ministerial screening will come your way again. God bless Nigeria, everyone. Bye now.